Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am back. So welcome to today's live feed. What I'll do is, while we're waiting for people to arrive, what I will do is just tell you viewers a little bit about me. Obviously we've got some people here who have said they're going to come along tonight who don't really know me. And I think it's kind of a nice way to start, just to tell you a little bit about myself. Hello, one person watching. So my name's Andrew, I'm a counsellor, and I love what I do. I love counselling. And the whole purpose of this forum is to connect with people, connect with old followers, connect with new followers, just to connect with people. That's my hope with this process. And what I want to do is I want to do this quite regularly, maybe fortnightly, maybe monthly, depending on want, needs, how this goes tonight. So that's kind of the reason we're doing this. Also, it's really nice as well for older clients that I've had, or old clients that I've had, to come back and say hello. I'll read your thing in a minute, James. Brilliant comment. I love it. Okay, cool. So that's kind of the premise of today. What would be really helpful for today, if you guys can put down any questions you may have that you want to ask, if you have any concerns that you want to discuss, put that down in the comment section. If there are any topics that you would like discussed, put it in the comments. It doesn't matter if we have a like a waiting list of things that need answering. That kind of works better for me, actually. So even if we're discussing something else, put down your questions and thoughts and I'll come back to them when I get a chance to. The good thing about that is obviously it keeps the flow, and we can just sort of go from one thing to the next. So we've got a good load of people watching, so let's get going, shall we? Let's go from the top down. Remember, put your comments now, and then by the time I get down to you, we'll be able to go from there. Hello Katie, how are you? Lovely to have you here, thank you for coming. James, who calling old? I mean clients that I've worked with in the past. That's what I meant. But thank you, brilliant comment. Andrew, good evening, Andrew. Katie, hope you're well and you've had a good week. Thank you, Katie, very much. Yes, I'm really well, thank you. I'm looking forward to today. I'm obviously a bit anxious. I always worry ahead of these things that I'm going to be left talking with no comments or nothing coming up, and I just really, talking to myself. But obviously, as we go through this, I will ease, you will ease, it will all be good things. But please get your comments in now, so I've got things to talk about. That's wonderful. Anything you want to discuss tonight? So anything mental health related, anything not mental health related. I mean, like, counselling is all about life, isn't it? So it's not all about, counselling. It's about new career opportunities, animals, kids, etc., etc. John, good evening, John. Right, let me get to the questions. Katie, for some reason, every time I move the comments down, it disappears off. Okay, so how did you get into counselling? Where was your starting point? I've done level 2 counselling skills course with the Skills Network, and that's about it. Thank you, Katie. So yeah, I think every counsellor comes into the profession because they've experienced their own issues, their own mental health. I was on that same journey, and I had counselling myself on and off, which was really helpful in my life, and it sort of sparked this interest, this like thirst for knowledge of why do we think things, why do we do things, how can I become happier and healthier, and build stronger relationships. So that thirst really drove me into doing education, and it's kind of been no looking back for me, Katie. I absolutely love my job. I love talking to you lovely, wonderful people. If it wasn't for you, I mean, there'd be no point in doing it. So I love my job, and that's how I got onto it. I kind of think, and I think I said this to you before, Katie, the level 2 course is so amazing that even people that don't want to be counsellors, I kind of recommend go and have a look at that course, because it teaches you about listening, learning, self-care, all these wonderful tools that that just aren't really given. So yeah, absolutely love that course. I hope that helps with that, Katie. James, how to get motivated and stay motivated? Wonderful, good question. So motivation is, I mean, it's a difficult subject to talk about. You've got sort of the everyday I'm not motivated stuff, you know, I can't bother to get out of bed today, I don't want to do this, don't do that. And those sort of things work really well when we look at schedules and tools. Like I can't think of the name of it, so please, if you know what I'm talking about, you know, comment in the comment section. But I think it's the Pomodoro technique, which is where you work for 25 minutes, have 5 minutes off, work 25 minutes, have 5 minutes off. There's other skills that you can use, such as a 3-2 do it, which I quite like. That kind of works for me. When I don't do something, I think, you know, 3-2, let's get on that. So there's lots of different tools. I'm not going to sit here and give you all the tools. There's so much you can find on Google Tube, but that's kind of the best way to work with motivation, general motivation issues, is working with tools and tips. With motivation, obviously, as humans, our decisions tend to come from an emotional place. Like, we don't normally logically think our way into being motivated. So I'll give an example of this. Every new year, we say things like, I'm going to get fit this year. I'm going to, I don't know, run a marathon this year. And 9 times out of 10, those things don't generally happen because we're coming from a logical place. We're saying, I know I should get fitter. I know I should eat healthier. But there isn't like the emotional pull to do it, you know. When we can sort of connect an emotion with our goal, we're much more likely to succeed in that goal. Let me give you an example of this. So I used to smoke a lot, but when I was younger, and I tried to give up thousands of times, and I never succeeded. I didn't have like the motivation to keep sticking with it. And then one day, somebody I know developed a shadow on their lung, and that instantly made me, the emotion was there. Then I thought, I can't do this anymore, I need to stop. And that emotional connection with the goal was the thing that tipped it over the edge, you know. So if you can connect an emotion to the goal, that kind of really increases your motivation, you know. And I was watching this thing the other day, actually, and this might be really helpful for you. I was watching this thing the other day, which was saying that if you want to achieve something, if you want to stop procrastinating or stop things getting in your way, what you need to do is design your life to make the easier choice the one that you want. So for example, if you've got an issue with eating Domino's pizza, that's me, I love Domino's pizza. If I was to design my life to make that not easy, I put pizzas in my fridge so it's easy to do. I would delete all the apps off my phone so I could order, you know, remotely. I don't know, maybe get rid of my online banking so I had a card. Then all of a sudden it's easier to cook than to order Domino's pizzas. So there's a few tools and tips and things. I hope that helps with that. Keep telling me if I've missed anything there, James, and I'll keep going with that. Right, sorry, I keep putting my fingers over the camera, don't I? Sorry if I miss anyone's questions, because every time I go onto the questions, they sort of like flit up and flit down. Maybe this would be better on the computer next time. Oh my word, why are you being so difficult? Technical issues on day 1 of doing this. My wife's watching, me and the kids are watching. Hello children, hello wife. Ben, question for you. With COVID, financial pressures, etc., how do you approach Monday blues and out yourself in a positive mindset, get yourself in a positive mindset for the challenge of the week? Wonderful question, Ben. Thank you very much. So, life is hard, isn't it, at the moment? COVID, finances, I think everyone is really struggling with that, aren't they? Yeah, I think it's hard. For me, I think the most important thing is talking That's the most important thing for me. I'm very aware if I keep emotions bottled inside, things fester, things stew. Life can become sort of treacly, where it feels like every footstep is just treacle. So for me, I think the most important thing is talking and voicing my feelings. And what's really, it's that quote, isn't it? A problem shared is problem halved. I really kind of believe in that. And suddenly you sort of change your viewpoint on the issue. Rather than feeling that I am stuck in this issue, you start realizing I'm not alone in this issue. Okay, there's other people that experience things. There are other people that sort of get where I am, and it kind of then shifts your mindset into I can't do anything to okay, what can I do? What can I do? Now I've sort of talked about this emotion, what am I going to do about this? Things like financial pressures, I know it's kind of boring talking about, the practicalities of finances, but budgeting, things like that, really helpful. The thing is that you need to make a conscious effort to make these things happen. Things don't just happen. There's a saying, nothing changes if nothing changes, So actually consciously building in these new habits, building in these helpful structures in your world, designing your life to meet your needs, and to put myself in a positive mindset. I use mantras. I talk about mantras and affirmations a lot with my clients. Our brains are lazy. Humans are lazy naturally. So if we get certain thoughts that habitually, that we think over and over again, this is no good, this is rubbish, what will happen is our brain will just automatically go on autopilot and think everything's rubbish. Oh, it's raining outside, that's rubbish. So-and-so looked at me, that's rubbish, they must not like me now. If we use affirmations, we can consciously change the thought pattern, okay? So I don't know, some mantras I might use is this too might pass. It might pass like a kidney stone, but it might pass, meaning that this might be painful. Whatever I'm going through might not be okay, but I am going to get through this at some stage. So all of a sudden, when it's raining outside, my new thought pattern that I'm consciously thinking to myself is saying, okay, it's not wonderful, but I'll get through it. I'm going to manage this, somehow. And again, it's all about changing perspectives. I go from feeling like there's nothing I can do to actually I've now got a plan or something to move forward. I think much of counselling is about these perspective shifts, if I'm honest, about changing how we view a situation. It changes how we then respond. Katie, how can one keep life distractions, mental health issues at bay when trying to concentrate on my degree? Yeah, I mean, I wish it was easy to just ignore life. I'm afraid it's not as easy as that. When life is happening and emotions are there, we can't always avoid or ignore, I think it's important to be self-caring. I think it's important to, even if it's raining down, we can still put out an umbrella. We can still do things that are helpful for our self-care. I think, Katie, and I don't know if this is exactly your question or not, but I kind of think trying to get good sleep, trying to eat healthily, trying to do the environmental things that you can helps an awful lot when there's things going on and you're trying to concentrate on a degree. And also I think it's important to try and do bite-sized steps. Even if it's just a little bit every day, those little bits all add up to something bigger, So I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope that does. Katie, oh, hang on. Did you progress onto the level 3? Was it open uni? I agree with the thirst and that it comes with passion and drives you to continue to do the job you love. Yeah, absolutely. For me, my training was I went and did level 2, level 3, level 4. Then I stopped and then I went and got some experience because for me, I'm not the most educational person anyway. I sort of struggle with education. I'm kind of more of an experiential learner. I like to do, and I learn more that way. So I then went sort of sideways for a bit and actually did some real life experience. So I went to work in an in an addiction centre, which was phenomenal. I mean, it was such a wonderful place to grow and learn and watch other very amazing counsellors. And it's really developed my practice in a certain way. And I'm so grateful for that. And obviously since then, I then went on to start the master's degree, which I've just done the first year of, just completed. Got 2 years left of that. But because of my experience, they were quite happy for me to go on the course. And actually, funny enough, I say I'm not very good at education, but this time I'm sort of there. I'm doing really well at it. I feel like I'm doing really well at it. And I think the reason is because it's the right time for me. Because I did that sideways experience, because I sort of got that really on-the-job learning. Suddenly then when I come back to education, things just clicked, which didn't click before, There's only so much you can learn in textbooks, So I hope that helps. Do you use mindfulness daily in your life? If so, what do you use? I try to use mindfulness. I don't always use mindfulness. I'm not a mindfulness guru, but I try to use elements of mindfulness. What I like is audiobooks. Audiobooks is almost like meditation for me. It kind of gives me space to just switch off from the thoughts and just, sink into something. I love educational books, mental health books and things. For me, that's not a chore. I don't find that tiring to listen to. I find it really relaxing. It sort of compounds what I'm working through, or things that I'm working on with clients. So yeah, love that. I try to get out and do walking and things. I think getting out and walking, getting out into the world is a really healthy thing. I try not to stay indoors. I'm quite lucky. I've got 2 little people who take a lot of time up and who love going outdoors. So I'm often on my travels with them somewhere or other. That was the light turned, but you can see me better now, so it worked out for the best, didn't it? And the thing about mindfulness, Kate, is I think it's a little bit buzzwordy at the moment. I think people go, be mindful. And I think people think, okay, how do I be mindful? But mindfulness is solely being in the moment, trying to get out of your heads, get out of those thoughts and try and be in the moment. And you do that through your senses. So touch, taste, sight, smell, the other one that I've forgotten about. Just by breathing and concentrating on your breathing, you're suddenly in the room in this moment. This moment is all we ever have anyway. The past is gone, tomorrow isn't promised to us. This is the only time we actually have. So mindfulness can be anything in my mind. Even if it's just washing your hands, you can do that mindfully. Even if you're chucking on a load of laundry, you can do that mindfully. You can feel the clothes, after they're washed. I wouldn't do it beforehand, that might not smell very nice, but smelling the fabric conditioner and things, you can be mindful in everything that you do. It doesn't just have to be yoga or meditation. So I don't know if that helps, Katie. Andrew has said me too. I don't do well on dieting. Yeah, I think this is, I was actually watching on the news the other day that this has become a really big issue for a lot of people over lockdown. I'd even say I put myself in this bracket as well. I'm a bit of an emotional eater, so I'm aware that's something that happens to me. But there's been studies, and don't quote me on this because again it's only something I watched on the news the other day. But apparently cases of binge eating has sort of gone well on the rise since COVID. And it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, really? We're sort of shutting down our social networks, shutting down our connections, not going out, locking ourselves away, working from behind a screen. And there's so many good things with remote working, but there's also a lot of things that break down. I think a lot of human needs get broken down. So I think that's kind of happening around a lot of places at the moment. Again, I would go back to what I was saying earlier on. about looking at our emotional side around the food, rather than just focus on I need to do something about my food, because just knowing something isn't going to make a huge difference. Working out when do I eat most, what's going on for me when I decide to ring Domino's if you're me, and trying to work with those issues. So I don't know if that helps, Andrew, but thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. You're all good, spot on there. I'd forgotten the 25.5. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, James. I'm glad that has helped. Katie, how do you feel about compassion skills? Is this the same as the mantras that you should ? I guess you mean that you do. Yeah, being compassionate to self is a wonderful thing. I'm a big promoter of being kind to yourself. I kind of feel that life is, this is from a poem, but it really resonates with me. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond. I had a brain fog then, I nearly forgot the quote. Yeah, I think if we are hard on ourselves, so if something goes wrong or something doesn't go quite the way we want it to, if we are hard on ourselves, you're rubbish, you should have done better, I can't even believe you did that. All of a sudden, you've not just got the problem, you've then got a whole world of judgments and guilt and shame and blame, and actually that then becomes a monster that you actually really can't run away from, And what normally happens, you get these perpetual cycles where that monster means the next time you think, I'm not going to do it this time, I'm going to fail at this time now, which then perpetuates a problem because you feel, well, I am really rubbish now. See, that's twice now I've failed. And you get these sort of perpetual motions, So self-compassion is really kind of key. If things don't go right, it's okay. You're not a bad person for something not going wrong. We have no control over things going wrong. And mantras are absolutely wonderful, that sort of thing, Katie. Yes, I agree with you. So that's sort of when I said to you earlier on, this will pass. It might pass like kidney stone, but it will pass. That's one of those things, Yeah, this was hard today, but I'm going to get through it, Another one, which is about self-compassion, is about a bird doesn't place its trust in its wings when it lands on a branch. A bird doesn't put its trust on a branch not breaking when it lands on a branch. It puts its trust in its wings, that it'll be fine, it will survive, it will thrive. So no matter what happens, I'm going to get through this, Even if I feel embarrassed there, even if I don't feel good enough today, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to improve, I'm going to get better. Another mantra might be, this is a lesson or a blessing, Today I will learn from, or it's going to go well and I'm going to be happy with the outcome. So yeah, they're all sort of self-compassion mantras that you can use. Again, going back to what I was saying earlier on about neural pathways, we have to consciously change these thoughts about ourselves, If we're not consciously telling ourselves that actually we're okay, if we allow that cyclical thoughts happen, that's what you're always going to believe. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You actually have to give it a go, with these mantras and things. So I hope that helps with your question. Andrew, how do you learn to say no? I spend a lot of time being extremely busy running my business and catering for customers, and often feel like I have no control over my life or time. Thank you, Andrew. What a wonderful question. No, it's relatively simple on paper, isn't it? Just say no. But actually in practice, it's really difficult, isn't it? Don't want to offend people, don't want to get into conflict in situations. Sometimes kind of feeling like we have to be the one to do certain things, otherwise things aren't going to get done. I think with saying no, the important thing is practicing. And I think we have to come from a position that we are people, we are human, we can't be superheroes, we're not superheroes. And I think this is one of those things that the more you do it and the more you build your life around your needs, the easier this becomes. I know often with the word no, that people often avoid saying no. So this will go on for weeks, months, years. And then at the point where you want to say no, it almost feels like it's too big to say no to. I've allowed this thing to happen for so long. How can I possibly say no now? They're going to say, well, you've done this for years, so why are you changing your mind now? I often think that the thing with no's, it's kind of important to try and do that as early as possible. When someone's breaking a boundary, when things aren't going right, try and nip it in the bud early, because the longer you leave it, the harder it becomes to say no. But I think it's a skill, you know. What I would say about no's, Andrew, is you don't have to justify a no. You don't have to give lots of reasons why you're not doing something. It can just be simple as, actually, I can't do that today. I feel that oversteps my values, and I'm not willing to do that. I don't think you have to go into like these massive detailed descriptions about, well, the thing is, I was really tired the other day and this happened, that happened, so that's why I can't do that. You don't have to get into these big, long, drawn out things. Just a very simple, actually, that doesn't work with me. You can use things like, you know, I'm not happy to do that, but I'm willing to try this. You can use those sort of techniques as well, if that helps. But definitely it's a skill. What might be helpful, actually, as we're talking about it now, I know for being assertive, it's helpful to build scripts into your life. So when there's an issue, you have a like an automatic scripted response. So for example, if someone was breaking a boundary, I might say something like, I don't think that's very appropriate. That's a very scripted answer that I've worked out beforehand. So when I'm in the height of emotions saying, actually, that's not okay, I already know what I'm sort of going to say. You know, I mean, you don't have to say that. You can say whatever works for you. But it can sometimes be helpful to work out those logical bits before the emotion takes over, you know, because emotions are stronger than our logic, you know. So having that sort of stuff worked out in advance can be very helpful. So I hope that helps a bit, Andrew. Katie, you've excelled with the education. It's great how far you've gone with it. Thank you, Katie. It was funny. It was only a couple of years ago I said I'm never doing education again. I'm fine where I am. And now look at me a couple of years on, I'm throwing myself back into it. It's amazing how we can change our minds, isn't it? You know, and I'm so glad I did. You know, it's obviously just the right time for me now. You know, and actually, I think if I'd done it sooner, it would have been detrimental. I think I needed that sideways learning. So maybe that's something out there for you guys who are watching. You know, maybe sometimes it's about not about the direction you go. Maybe something's about stopping and compounding what you already know. You know, before going on. Maybe that's sometimes a better goal than just pushing on. Maybe, you know. James, sorry, my net went down. Yeah, sometimes that happens on here. That, but I'm glad you're back now. David, oh, nice long comment. Hi Andy, I've been working with a client at work for a few months, and unfortunately I had to phone the ambulance for him a few weeks back. I have really sad news yesterday that he passed away. I'm sorry to hear that. I was just wondering how you deal with this. It's left me feeling pretty low. Yeah, absolutely. You connect with people you work with. I am a human, you are humans. When we're talking about these sort of really big emotional situations, issues, life goals, life dreams, you get connected. We're human. This is what being human is about, connection, you know. Admittedly, we are boundaried in the profession, you know. It's a working relationship. But yeah, absolutely connect. And how do you deal with it? Well, it's the same as if you lost someone that you didn't work with. It's a grieving process, you know. What I feel, David, is it's kind of best to talk through your feelings, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to feel, be kind on yourself while you're feeling. It's really hard because sometimes when you're in a caring profession, you want to give so much to the client, you really want them to succeed, and sometimes that client isn't in a position to. Sometimes that client, for whatever reason, doesn't want that outcome or decides to go a different way. And that's really hard to take. But I think it's important to remember that you are you, I am me. I can only offer what I can, but what you do with it is then up to you what you want to do with that information. It's up to you what you want to do with those things. The problem is when you can take on these things and say, actually, maybe I could have done more, it's my fault. You sort of compound the problem. It doesn't really help anyone. And obviously with counselling, I don't know about your profession, David, but we have regular supervisions. So it's important for us to talk every month, at least every month, to sort of make sure that we're working through what is brought up for us in sessions, So I don't know if that helps, David. It's a really difficult time when you lose someone, and I'm really sorry to hear that you've gone through that. And my thoughts are with you in this time. I hope that helps in some way. Mark, I have stopped myself using should in my vocabulary. Wonderful. And change it up for could instead, which takes off the pressure. What are your thoughts on this? Mark, I love it. Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely agree. The word should, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should be healthier. What you're doing is you're putting a lot of pressure on your shoulders that we don't actually need to put there, I could get healthier, All of a sudden, I'm empowered. I could do it, and I might do it. But if I don't, I'm not then going to beat myself up. This is that sort of compassionate language, isn't it, Mark? Mark, fantastic, great suggestion. Thank you so much for sharing that. James, I found changing my environment has helped a lot, removing myself from a toxic place and people. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, I mean, there's a quote that I quite liked, which says, before you diagnose yourself as mentally ill, first check you're not surrounded by arseholes. Pardon my language, guys. I should have said language warning there. But there is some truth to that, Sometimes we can be in these really toxic environments which aren't good for us at all. And removing yourself from them only naturally is going to, put you in a better place. So yeah, thank you for that. Let me have a look. Katie, I've got to shoot off now. Sorry for only sticking around for half hour. Take care, catch you soon. Yeah, no troubles. This is it's cool to drop in and drop out. I hope to see you next time, Katie. I'm going to be doing this more regularly as well. So yeah, feel free to pop in and pop out. David. Right, so now I'm at the end of the comments. So please feel free, guys, to put any more comments down now. Then by the time I've answered this last question, we'll have some more questions and topics and things to go through. I'll tell you what, let's have a bit of a middle break. How are you guys finding this process? How are you finding this today? Today's been wonderful because there's been so much interaction today. It's almost like, I've got to read everyone, and does this translate well? Do you get a lot from this? Let me know in the comments below. That's cool. And obviously, any other questions, any other things, put them down there. That's wonderful. I look forward to answering all those things. David, thank you, Andrew. Yes, I have got supervision this week. Yeah, it's a really important thing, supervision. It just reminds us to take a moment for ourselves. I don't know if I said this earlier on, but I think so many people in the healing profession, the helping profession, we spend so much time focused on outwardly things that we can forget to look after ourselves. And I know that's kind of true for me. I know I do that at times. It's quite handy to have that place to go to and that person say, are you looking after yourself? What would you say to yourself if you were a client, and that sort of thing, it can be really quite helpful. I kind of think it goes back to connection. I think having that person who's there for you and wants to give you the space to voice what's going on in your life without being judgmental or whatever, it has huge healing benefits. It really does. Okay, guys, we've got no more questions at the moment. We've got one more question. Please make sure to keep them coming. James, yep, always good to have an open discussion about mental health. Something that has helped one of us, if we talk about it and 1 out of 10 people find it useful and helpful, then it's a win. James, I love that. Thank you very much. I try to think of it that way. If one person gets some benefit from this tonight, then actually it's worth doing, isn't it? Even if that one person helps one person, that one person helps one person, suddenly you've got sort of like a massive chain reaction of positivity, haven't you? So that's really cool. And I hope you all find it helpful, but you know, if it helps one person, then it's worthwhile. Mark, have noticed my mood changing with the change of seasons. Are there any suggestions you have to adapt to winter? Yeah, great comment, Mark. Thank you very much. Yeah, now there's a couple of different things of this, isn't there? So you've got the sort of generalised change in mood, where it's darker outside and colder, and it's harder to get out and do things in the UK. And I mean, getting outside is important. It's that sort of thing of like, even things I don't really want to, sometimes just getting on doing it is really helpful, you know. So what I would suggest is things like, even if you're getting out for like sitting outside for 5 minutes a day, just to get some fresh air, just to see the sky. If you can do it, you know. If you can do some connections, if you can get into some groups, hobbies, and things that don't rely on, you know, weather, that can be good things. Anything that sort of encourages connection, encourages nurturing, that's all good things. If we're looking at more like SAD, seasonally affected disorder, I might be wrong on that, don't quote me on that. But yeah, that's seasonal disorder. Then there's lots of medical things you can do, such as having a light box in your house, which gives you good, all the goodness from the sun, but from a light, and you can take certain vitamins and things. So it depending on what you have, there's lots of things you can do. I think it's important to, and I know I keep coming back to this one thing, but I think it's important to keep voicing that actually, oh yeah, no, I noticed that I'm feeling this at the moment. I'm noticing that as the days are getting dark, I'm feeling slightly more alone, you know, and acknowledging what's going on for us. Because with acknowledgement, it's partially acceptance, you know, which is important, but it's partially, what can I do about it, you know? So this is how I'm feeling, what can I then go on and do? What's practical can I do? So I don't know if that helps, if that answers your question or not, Mark. I hope that's helpful. Have we got anyone else? Oh, my words. No, I think that's all at the moment. Okay, guys, I'm aware I've got about 10 minutes left, so we are going to have to start closing this down. Let me know, how have you found this today? Has this been helpful for you? And that'll be really helpful for me. And also any other feedback, because obviously I want to make this a regular thing, you know. How would you like these live feeds to work? Is there a particular format you like? Are you happy with questions and answers and the way we're just having a conversation? Let us know, you know, in the comments. I know it probably take a little while for it to come through. There's normally lags on these comment sections, but let me know. I mean, what you could do, what might be helpful, is if you like it, put some likes and hearts and things, because I see them on my screen. So if you're liking this, send me lots of likes and hearts, or sad faces. If you don't, that's also okay as well. I'm not seeing any. So either that means you've all liked it and it hasn't come on my screen, or you all don't like. So I'll have to think about that one. Maybe it'll come up afterwards. I don't know. Anything else? Okay then. So I suppose what I'm going to do is start closing it down today. Thank you everyone for coming along. I really appreciate you coming here. Please make sure, because I'm going to post another. I'm going to put another event up before long. I don't know when, fortnightly or a month. It depends on how you guys have found today, and depends if I need to change the theme or anything. So yeah. Let me have a look. There's been a few more comments come through. Mark, really glad I came across this evening. Thank you. Quite like it's free flow. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it. I'm really glad that this has resonated well with you tonight. Yeah, I quite like the free flow. I quite like the discussions because it can take any turns, you know. So I like that. So I'm glad that resonated with you. Kyla, from these talks, I've been able to listen whilst walking around cleaning. When I've had patients patients have died while trying to save them, we always think, oh my word, you're talking the other side of my office then. That's my door to my office. When I have patients have died trying to save them, we always think we could do something different. Why did they pass away in our hands? It's hard with my anxiety, and personal ways of listening to others is nice. Yeah, absolutely. Especially in your job as well, because you're sort of front line, you're there. And it's a really difficult thing. Yeah, and I think it's really important to keep reminding ourselves that I am me. I can only do what I can do. I'm not superhuman. I'm a human, you know, and my intentions are good. I've only got this training and knowledge that I've got today, and I'm doing everything I can, you know. That's all I can do, you know. But no, I hear you, it's a really difficult one. And actually going through, obviously, like I say, the grieving process, letting yourself grieve, letting yourself feel, try to be compassionate yourself to why you're feeling. And also talking to people in the same industry. Obviously with you, you're going to have other people on shift with you who've gone in similar situations. And sort of that connection and realising that you're not alone. It's kind of really important not to do the grieving alone, I think. And not to let yourself go too far down the rabbit hole with those thoughts. So yeah, I hope that helps. James, enjoyed it. Only thing I would say is have a theme maybe. I don't mean cowboys and Indians. I mean, I'm quite happy to talk about cowboys and Indians, that's not a trouble. But pick on a topic, a whiteboard, like a mindfulness something. Yeah, no, I love the idea, James. What I found before, because obviously I did a lot of these in groups before, when I did themes, what tended to happen is people would listen to the theme and then there'd be no interaction. It'd be like a sort of a webinar. But I'll tell you what I am planning on doing, James, which might be really helpful for you. I'm looking to actually deliver some webinars next year, come January time. I'm hoping it, don't quote me, I hope it'll be ready for then. But looking at anxiety, depression, anger management, And my hopes are to have all the information there and have our sort of free flow conversations here. But I do like the idea about having a whiteboard. I think that's a really wonderful idea. I might be able to wangle out a whiteboard, and in case anything comes up in conversation, I can do my doodles. That's not a bad idea at all. I love that. So definitely something I'll mull over. Thank you, James. John, heart, thank you, John. James, I think what you've done is great. It's really good. Thank you, James. I appreciate it. John, I'm enjoying this so much, even though I've not been asked any questions. That's all right, John, you didn't have to. It's lovely to have you here. It's lovely to have you all here. It feels like a real privilege to be able to talk to you all. And I hope it's helpful. And even if it's just a bit of connection or a bit of fun or a bit of a laugh, it's still, I think, beneficial, you know, especially times when we do feel quite isolated and quite alone, where we can feel that way. A bit of connection is always a good thing, isn't it? Okay, cool. So then, I'm going to start wrapping up for today. Anyone who's watching this on catch up later, or anyone who is not already subscribed to the channels, make sure you do the likes and the follows and the shares and all those things. I'm going to be doing more of these, so come back and see these. I'm also looking at big things next year. Okay, so it's not just going to be my usual posts, although they're going to still continue, but I'm looking to do some podcasts next year, so keep an eye out for the podcasts. We're looking to do some webinars, so keep an eye out for the webinars. We're going to continue this live feed because they're so wonderful. I'm also looking to do some collaboratives, so do some live feeds with other counsellors, which I think is quite nice. Dynamic change, that's going to be happening. There's so much in the pipeline, okay? So keep your ear to the ground, keep subscribing to the page and things, and let's keep doing some good things, you know. Let's all benefit from this, you know. James, in our meetings, I found when you drew stuff on paper, the visual was really helpful to fix it in my mind. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. I quite like metaphors and analogies, because the way our brains are wired, and it's been this way for thousands of years, this is why people share stories, you know. Stories lock in our heads, especially if there's an emotional connection to it, you know, they sort of lock, you know. So yeah, absolutely. Analogies, metaphors, I try and use them as much as possible. And also, if you have this sort of life-changing idea or this new perspective, attach it to a story, attach it to an idea, attach it to a song, because that way you're not going to forget it. It's going to keep it fresh in your mind, you know. So yeah, no, I'm really glad that that's helped with you, James, as well. Okay, ladies and gents, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tonight. Vicky, please can you write a book of your metaphors? Do you know, Vicky, I mean, I'm still early days of my career, but I will hopefully be looking at book writing and things in the future. I mean, I do like a book of metaphors. I think that would be a really nice way of putting together a book, wouldn't it? I love it. Thank you, Vicky. I love that idea. It's definitely something I would consider long term. Over my career, I want to just be, you know, connecting with you guys, helping people along their journeys. So yeah, I will keep doing my best. Thank you, Vicky. Okay, guys, take good care of you. Lovely to see you all. Please come back to the future ones. Keep interacting. I love having your comments and things. Let me know how you're getting on. And I'll speak to you all soon. John, God bless. God bless, John. Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.